We're in Arvada, Colorado right now looking at a potential hail claim. The shingles really aren't too bad in terms of age. We're just seeing some slight hail impacts, a little bit of wind damage here and there. So sort of waiting on the adjuster to figure out if this is actually going to be claimable or not. But I wanted to point out a few interesting parts on this particular roof that are relatively important when it comes to identifying the functionality of your roof. And what I mean by that, at least on this roof, is ventilation for one, and water penetration for two. So I'm going to flip the camera around. I'm going to show you guys the first thing, which is ventilation. So as you can see, we've got this is a turtle vent or a box vent. As what you can see, the one below that is a bathroom vent. That right there is a soil stack or a pipe jack at the base there. We've got another one here, soil stack, and a bathroom vent. In terms of this box vent here, this is what you would typically use for your exhaust ventilation, and you want that as close to the peak or as close to the ridge as possible. What we have on this side of the roof is another one down near just below the midway part of the roof, and up here we've got box vents at the ridge. So the reason why this is inefficient is that if they have intake along their soffits, then the air is going to come in through the soffit and it's going to come out this vent and never make it up to these vents up here, or the air is going to come in this vent and make it out these vents, but never provide ventilation in that lower section down there. And we're going to see the same issue over here as well. So really not a good plan. What you really want to have is ventilation at the lowest part of a slope, so along the eaves, and you want to have your exhaust at the highest part along your ridge. And on the point of the ridge, having these two rows of box vents, yes, it'll work. Unfortunately, depending on which way the wind's blowing, you run the risk of air coming in here and then going out there, and there's being this really small circulation of airflow. But another thing is that it just doesn't look good. A good upgrade to this would be having a ridge vent go right along here, provide much better, more efficient ventilation, as well as a better overall look to the house. Next thing I want to talk about is water penetration. That's over here. So can't really tell from here what's underneath these shingles, but what you'll see is there's a slope transition from here. It's about a 512 pitch down to a 212 pitch. Now anything below 412 needs to either have double felt or ice and water shield underneath, and this is definitely one of those areas, especially because it's shielded from the sun and in parts of it. That ice is going to sit there in the wintertime and you're going to start getting leaking. Now this particular client had already expressed concerns about leaking inside their home, and I haven't stepped inside yet, but I'm willing to bet it's going to be somewhere in this area. Another issue that I found on this particular house is just how they're draining their water. So I'm going to flip the camera around. I'm going to show you a very common sight to see in terms of how gutters are set up and why it's not a good idea. So what we have here is a gutter that is flowing towards a slope that's sloped in the opposite direction that the gutter exits, or the water exits the gutter here. They've opened this side up, and the thinking behind this is, well, that's just one less downspout you have to worry about. That's the less money that the homeowner has to pay to get that installed. So we'll just have the water run out this direction, get caught by this slope, and head back down that way. But what really happens is during heavy rainstorms, we're gonna have water that runs the opposite direction of the slope of the shingles and can sometimes go up underneath the shingles. And this part of the roof is so far away from the eave that it probably doesn't have ice and water shield, and that could pose a very serious problem in the future. What I would recommend that you do instead is you cap this off, have an opening maybe about right there that comes down and then points the water deposit out this direction, and the water will go away from the wall and down into that gutter down there.